This is my story from $800 to $27 million in 8 years. My name is Alex Fedotoff. Welcome to my video. Welcome to my channel. Keep in mind, I'm from Ukraine. My parents are still there and I didn't even speak English a few years ago. I grew up in the Chernivtsi. That's where Mila Kunis is from, by the way, in a tiny one-bedroom apartment with my parents and one sister. I came from absolutely nothing. My parents worked their whole life with not much to show for it. During my teen years, my mom worked abroad and I didn't get to see her much. My dad had a life-changing surgery at the age of 30, and since then he couldn't work physically without a massive pain. All of my friends were either into alcohol or into drugs, and many of them passed away at a very young age. So fast forward to now. I'm 32, I live in Miami with my family. I set my family up for life financially. I'm semi-retired. I have great cash flowing businesses that are adding to my net worth every month. When we travel with my family, we fly first class everywhere. We travel a lot, like 6-8 times a year. I'm able to spend a lot of money on my lifestyle and buy cool things for my boy. I also arrange travel for my parents so that they can see new places and they can enjoy themselves. So it's been fun, and the journey from where I started to where I am now has been incredible, and I'm very excited to tell you guys about it. Let's just get into it. So it all started in 2008 when I was studying to be an accountant, even though I didn't see myself as one. And I knew that accountants, they don't make much money, so what's the point? Even at 18 years old, I had that common sense. And there's a lesson here. If you don't see yourself in a specific occupation, change it. You don't have to be stuck to it for life. I'm the example that everything is possible, and I know that you can do it too. My family always suffered with money. To give you an example of how poor we were, tea was only for special occasions, and we would use the same tea bag for 2 or even 3 cups. My first cell phone I got only because my dad found it on the street and it was half broken, but I learned to like it anyway. When I was in high school, my dad tried to save money on clothes, so when I needed a jacket, he found a genius idea. Take a jacket from my older sister and give it to me. The only problem? There was a girl in my school who had exactly the same jacket. So for months, my school days became about avoiding that girl so no one would notice. But my classmates found out anyway and I got bullied. I became a rebellious kid. I learned martial arts as a result of bullying, and then I started bullying others. I'm not proud of that, but that was the direct impact of the environment that I grew up in. Some of my classmates' parents had a lot of money. They had cars, big houses, you name it. They were entrepreneurs, so I built this correlation between entrepreneurship and wealth. I had a dream where one day I'll never have to worry about the money again, just like them. I knew that one day I would be so rich that my family could be together and we can afford anything we want. I just didn't know how, when, or where. I always had the idea of leaving Ukraine. When I was 18, my cousin came to the United States and he started making $2,000–3,000 per month, which was a fortune to me at that time. So I asked him to bring me with him. He lent me money, and after months of preparation, I got here. It was different than I expected. I thought people here would chill and have a good time like in the movies, but on my second day, I went to work. The USA turned out to be the country where you have to work a lot to pay your bills. I was working 12 hours a day in a factory. As hard as it was an amazing feeling. At the age of 19, I provided for myself, even sending my parents a few $100s monthly. It taught me a lot about the work ethic. I was making about $10 per hour, which was a fortune to me at that time. I appreciated every dollar and I saved as much as I could. I bought my first car for $1,300, Toyota Camry 1992. It was great, pretty reliable, even with 200,000 miles on it. I loved finally having the freedom to move where I wanted, when I wanted, even if I wasn't an old piece of shit car. I had a good time, but soon I felt stuck and I didn't know what to do next with my life. Years went by and I had no skills. I was a regular factory worker putting parts in and out of machines. One time my boss and I went to the trade show about robotics. As we were passing to one of the assembly robots, my boss told me, "Alex, this robot is going to replace you and take your job." He was joking, but I knew he was being serious. Automation will replace many jobs in the next 20–30 years, so it's super important that you learn highly valuable skills that cannot be replaced by automation. I knew that I needed to make a change. Around the same time, I met my then future wife online through a friend of mine. We instantly hit it off and I planned to go back to Ukraine for us to be together. We've never met in person, but we both felt it would work. There was one small catch though. If I left the United States, it was going to be very hard to come back. Everyone around me called me crazy. They said I would be nobody, that I would be poor, and that is the biggest mistake of my life. But I decided to leave anyway. I took about $20,000 that I've saved and I flew back to Ukraine thinking that I would start my own business there. All of those dreams that I had as a kid will finally be fulfilled. Well, my dream collapsed. That shit didn't happen. Doing business in Ukraine is not easy. The government and institutions are super corrupt. You have to pay bribes to just stay in business. I went from making $3,000 per month to making zero and living from my savings. I also spoke no English because I spent all of my time in the United States around other Ukrainian and Polish people. I moved back to my parents' one-bedroom apartment with zero direction on what to do with my life. I'm sitting at home all day with nothing to do, and my parents are yelling at me to get a job. I felt like a complete failure at that point. Then one day I saw these spiking phone cases going for $20 on eBay, but they're only $3 on AliExpress. So I started flipping them and making few $100s a month. Life was looking up again, until just a few days later, my account got shut down for trademark infringement. And once again, I felt like a failure. I learned my lesson, so I opened another account to sell legitimate products this time. I found these pilot glasses from 1920s that some guy in Ukraine was selling for about $20, whilst other people in the United States were buying them for about $150. So I'm now arbitraging those. Life is great, life is amazing, I'm making few $100s a month until my PayPal hits a limitation. I was using my old USA account from when I lived there, and they wouldn't allow me to process payments until I confirmed my information. Now, Ukraine didn't have a PayPal then, so I couldn't sell anything on eBay anymore. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. I crossed the border to Poland to open a bank account there so I could get a new PayPal started, and it took some excruciating weeks. At this point, I'm frustrated with Ukraine and its obstacle just to start selling stuff. And again, my parents are still pressuring me to find a job. So I finally gave in. I found a job as a commission-based cookie salesman. I would sell cookies 12-14 hours a day, and I end up with about $100 a month. I absolutely hated it. That uncle invited my wife and I to celebrate New Year with him in Germany. We went and we fell in love how Western Europeans live. They can buy food, they can work normal hours, and they can afford traveling. They're calm and relaxed as opposed to Ukraine, where most people are angry and aggressive. But then again, reality check. Vacation is over, time to go back to work selling cookies. But still, the damage was done. I knew that I wanted out. We would constantly daydream with my wife. How would that be working in Europe? And I'm not even talking about becoming super rich, but even just working normal jobs and being able to buy food and travel. So we started looking for ways out. We're exploring all sort of working visas to get into Europe. We want out so much that we traveled with my wife every weekend to the border city called Przemysl in Poland just to experience Europe, just to feel it. But the problems were the same. We had no skills and we didn't speak the language. And still, we decided to take the leap and move to Warsaw anyway. We rented a small room and we got a job in a clay factory for about $2 per hour. On one side, we were so happy to make some money and being able to buy food, but at the same time, we would spend all day in the dirt, breathing all sort of toxic chemicals. So one day, I took all of my dirty clothes and I threw them into the garbage. I called my boss and I simply told him that I won't show up tomorrow, I'm done. I felt very bold and very excited for a second, but soon I'm thinking, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to pay rent, how I'm going to provide for my family. But bridges are burned and there is no way back. I had heard about freelancing and making money remotely with skills. So I decided to sign up on Elance, which is Upwork now, and position myself as an expert in search engine optimization. I started actually Googling what search engine optimization is and started to learn it as fast as possible. I also took English classes to level up my English. So I'm applying, and at first no one responds. I figured that I had to differentiate from other people, but here's a lesson I quickly learned and it applies to anything. 90% of people are lazy. They just copy-paste the templates. They don't go the extra mile to even find the name of the client in the job description. So I decided to shoot personalized videos for each job application. Now, my English was broken, my self-esteem was low, but I did it anyway. Here's an example of one of my video proposals to clients. You can see how ugly that is. So little by little, I'm getting clients and some of them are from the e-commerce industry. I'm like, wow, I like this. They're selling products worldwide, they can live anywhere they want, and they make great money. And then one day, one of my clients asked me, can you do Facebook ads for me? I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm great at Facebook ads. I'll do it for you. So then I go to Google and search what Facebook ads actually are and start learning it like a maniac. In about 2016, I ran ads for a client who was dropshipping. I knew his supplier, I knew where he's selling and at what price. I literally making him money and I know exactly how to do it. And at that point, everything clicked for me. So I decided to start my own store, and it quickly gained traction and I started making a lot of money. I quit my low-paying clients to double down on dropshipping. I made my first $1,000 a day, then $10,000 a day. Literally what I was making in months, I started to make it in one day. With that store, I made about $4 million in the first year. And then one day, I met a guy who was actually excited about my store and wanted to buy it from me for $1 million. After making another $1 million from the store in profit, now I had $2 million at the age of 27. I've never had access to so much money before. So I started traveling more, but I still was very conservative with my spending. No expensive jewelry or $300,000 cars. I was stacking up cash. There's another lesson here. If you have an obsession like this to get more in life, to go somewhere, be someone, just know that you would 100% get it. For me personally, money was a security caution. I knew life was no money, so I wanted to protect my family from ever facing that again. And I was ready to sacrifice it all for it. I posted my Shopify results on Facebook to share my excitement. One guy reached out to me asking to teach him how I did it, and he was ready to pay me $2,000. I'm like, wow, people are ready to pay me for just talking and sharing what I already know. And that was the beginning of my consulting business, e-commerce scaling secrets, which is now heading to 8 figures in yearly revenue. I learned that aside from running a business and being like behind the scenes, you can also be the face of it, and that part pays very well too. In 2017, I got paid $50,000 to share my experience on Facebook ads and e-commerce in Taiwan, and it was amazing. We went to the best restaurants and I got to meet some pretty cool people who pretty much run the country. At this point, my wife and I are expecting our first baby, so we ditched the cold and gloomy Warsaw for Malta, a warm, amazing island in the Mediterranean. My son Benjamin was born there, and that was an amazing new experience that forced me to evolve in a totally new direction, becoming a better father and a husband. At that point, our business had few freelancers and we were launching new stores and working like maniacs. We were living big, but our problems were getting bigger too. One of our stores scaled from $0 to $30,000 per day in just a few days. And we were using Stripe in Singapore for payments, and they had 7 days payout time. So after a week, we had about $200,000 just hanging in there in the air. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Stripe decided to shut down our account and hold onto that money for like 4 months. I had a lot of money saved, so it didn't kill my business, but I'm pretty sure it would have killed anybody else with less capital. After that experience, I decided I need to be in the United States to have access to all of the payment processing I need, so we started the paperwork to move. But remember, when I was in the United States the first time and when I left, it made it more difficult for me to come back. So we had to hire expensive lawyers and go through the very long, extensive process just to get a visa again. In the meantime, we decided to move back to Poland to get serious about our business. We started hiring our first team members. Some were great and they're still working with us today, and others were great lessons that helped me grow as a leader. And then in 2020, you know what happened. The COVID just turned the world upside down. Countries were shutting down and Trump was about to close the US borders. By that time, we finally got on our visa. So at the last minute, we gathered our luggage and we took the last available flight to move to the United States. So we come to Miami and it's a ghost town. There are no cars on the road, there are no people on the street, but people buy stuff with e-commerce like never before. So in 2020, we have generated multiple 8 figures in revenue with a very good profit margin, about 30%. You know how they say luck is where opportunity meets preparation? The environment and the people that we met in Miami was a massive factor. For 2021, we continued hiring and also we launched a few new brands. Some of them did very well and some of them just collapsed. I also lost a lot of money gambling with crypto and NFTs, but even with some of those losses, we still made a lot of profit as a company. In 2022, I removed all of those distractions and I became fully focused on e-commerce and our consulting business. We scaled very well. We spent about $10 million on ads at a profit. I also got my 2C award from Russell Brunson from making over $25 million with one of our e-commerce funnels. So as I made millions of dollars in business, millions is not interesting for me anymore. So I want to go for billions. I want to have the net worth of $1 billion by the age I'm 40. And in 2022, we discovered a business model that will help us to make that happen. So instead of just building e-commerce brands from scratch, we're helping our clients to build their brands to $1 to $3 million in revenue. Once they're at that point, we'll be buying them so we can grow these brands to 10, 30, $50 million in revenue. Our clients get a massive payday and we increase the value of our portfolio. It's a win-win scenario. So our consulting business is not like a course like everyone else's. This is literally accelerator. Nothing like this was done before, and we're excited to innovate and build it to $1 billion valuation. Now, we are here and I don't know what my net worth is. Like I said, $27 million in the title probably fluctuates a lot every single day. I started a lot of businesses, I tried a lot of things, I failed along the way, but overall we kept pushing. we kept persisting, and now we have an amazing trajectory, and I'm super excited for the future. And like I said, I'm making this video for new people because my channel is growing exponentially. I just want to shake the hand of everybody that's new and say, hey, my name is Alex, this is who I am, welcome to my channel, and I hope you stick around because I'm going to do some incredible things in my life, and I want to be the source of motivation, a source of inspiration for anybody that's saying that they cannot do it, because I certainly felt the same way. When I started, I looked at people like me, immigrants with English as second language, and they were my inspiration. Now I want to be that inspiration myself. If I can inspire a few people and get them to change their life and they end up making something amazing, that would be totally worth it for me. And I don't want it to seem like I'm bragging about anything. I'm not. I'm just telling you exactly what it is. I have nothing to sell to 99% of you unless you want to be part of our e-commerce accelerator. Guys, that's it. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you. If you see me in person, say what's up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.